This is just crazy.
Mhm.
Never been so stressed in my life. Well, at least we live. That was simple. Okay. Okay. We should be on. AY, do y'all see us on YouTube? You see me on YouTube? You guys all should see it because I'm just going simple YouTube. And what I'll do is just,
Yes.
okay. Okay, you can turn your camera on, Brother Yusuf. And what I'm going to do is put the stuff in and your name and all that and this thing, and I'm going to share you on all the platforms just regular way. Where's your background?
Oh, I just told you I didn't pick one yet. I figured out how to do it. I just didn't select one. I have to go through my phone and pick pictures online and just prop them in there. They didn't give me any kind of default options or anything. I have to do it myself.
Oh, okay.
You just download themes, like easy.
Well, when you going to download them, put them on.
Gotta keep the walls, keep it real, rough, rugged, and raw.
Okay, that's
No,
okay.
I'll put a background in. Like, gotta get a nice bookshelf so you can look smart, like all the other phonies.
All right.
They actually have all those books in their house when we know they don't.
Well, you see how many views you got last time. You know you beat me out. You had 500.
Really?
You didn't see that?
No, I don't check at all.
Yeah,
To be honest.
yeah. Well, you know, you number one. This topic was the bomb, and they probably they were waiting on you because they know you what you see.
Well, because that name was mentioned. Yeah, we will be speaking on that individual tonight, as well as Miss Lilly J. We're going to expose her.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna
to do that last week, but he was so important. And what he's done this week is very disgusting. We're going to cover that as well. And just see how this whole thing is coming clear as day to everybody out there. Are we ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm gonna say you can go ahead because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fix it up while since we're using the regular Zoom, you can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, everybody. We have a little bit of technical issues as you do with modern technology from time to time. I'm going to be back. Busy week. Today was 106 degrees in the good southern state of South Carolina, and I'm working out there with a bunch of men who are basically dying in the heat, trying to keep everybody going, trying to give everybody morale and boosts, and taught 2 classes a day. Had a pretty busy day overall. So yeah, this was a kind of planned follow-up, and the content just writes itself. It really does. All glory goes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the content just, it comes, it never ends. So we're going to do a little Sneako recap. As Sister Layla was mentioning, very popular because this is a very controversial figure. And we need to expose these people. We're going to expose a lot more of them as the weeks go on. You can almost call this the fake Muslim to watch out for, series, because we're going to expose all these guys because they're all whores for the dollar, and that's what they are. A lot of it is sinister, as I covered last week with Sneako. You have obviously a high probability of government funded infiltration, if you will, into our religions. We covered, of course, the throat-slitting gesture heard around the world. We talked about that. We talked about a lot of his politics. We've talked about him a lot on this platform. And I always said it was mostly done in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way, kind of mocking him in a way. But when you start doing things like he did, when you're acting out the Zionist caricature of our community and our dean and who we are, then it starts to become dirty and it starts to become a problem. And the tone will change. When he was embarrassing the religion, having girls kissing behind him, it was something I was warning you not to let your kids watch, to keep your kids away from him, your teenagers, from getting sucked into the Muslim 2.0 culture, which we are going to cover, of course, today as well. But then I said it got darker because he's literally acting on camera in front of massive amounts of people of the Zionist depiction of Muslims. He's doing their job for them better than they could because he's doing it for them. He's working for them, obviously. There's no doubt. And we're going to go look at what he's done this week to try to do a little bit of damage control. So what I did On the weekend, I had my normal activities I do, and then I spend my time here and there when I have moments, see what's going on. I wanted to see what the Muslim community, we're talking about people on Twitter with 20 followers, 15, 30, 50. I care about those guys, not the bots, the average, normal, everyday Muslim who's out there striving in their life, taking care of their family, working, and so on. And what I was finding was about 90%, of the posts that were posted about him, for about 90 to 10%, were basically against him. We were seeing normal, everyday people, are starting to wake up, to what, he's doing. It's becoming clear. These people, I mean, I was called out in the masjid when I came after this guy in 2023. People said, "Oh, you're a hater. You just wish you had his money." It's always a defense. I call it the Andrew Tate defense. It's been going on. It's in the Quran, actually, where people used to debate and argue the messenger, and they would say, "Well, look at our money. Look at our children. Look at our animals. And look at you. You don't mean anything because you're not as wealthy as we are. So how can you be right? How can you be a prophet when I'm richer than you?" This is an old argument, but it's become popular in modern times. And I call it the Andrew Tate argument, as I mentioned, because you're not rich like me, therefore you're wrong, I'm right. And that's how people defended Sneako against me initially. It was, "Oh, you're just jealous of his money or his success. You wish it was you up there doing what he's doing." And I'm, no, not at all. But that's, again, a cheap defense. As I said, most of the people were with this guy in the beginning, but now it's changing. It's becoming too obvious. So about 90 to 10% opposed. 10% of the people were siding and defending him, saying the same old crap they always say. "Oh, he's new. You got to forgive him. He doesn't know." I mean, what is new? You're not new anymore. You've been a Muslim now going on almost 3 years. When are you going to stop being able to get away with the excuse that he's new? When is that going to stop? And there were still people doing it, but like I said, 90% of the people were not. They were against it. They were calling it out. But guess what? There were some people who were defending him. Plenty of people, actually, who were defending him. Not those people I was just referring to, but the social media Muslim influencers. They all were defending him. 100% of those guys that I saw. I'm not saying all of them, don't know all of them. There may be a guy out there who I'm not aware of who did not. But the usual suspects came out basically and defended this guy with the same stuff I just said. He's new. He's misrepresenting Islam. He doesn't understand. We got to love him. We got to let him grow. And of course, they're defending him. Because as we're going to see today, we're going to start exposing how much money these guys are collecting off the good intentions of Muslims seeking to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are using this against us to profit, a lot of these guys. And one of these people that defended him is a gentleman that goes by the name of the Muslim Lantern. This guy's huge. I didn't even know who this guy was for a couple years ago. And he was doing a debate on Sneako's platform, of course, YouTube and all this. Here, watch this guy. And he was debating a Christian apologist by the name of Andrew Wilson. If anyone's not familiar with Andrew Wilson, please don't be familiar with Andrew Wilson. He is a very vile, nasty, disgusting human being. His debate tactics, an Orthodox Christian, is smut. Every debate, he turns it into something sexual. It's an antagonizing debate style. He never defends Christianity. He only attacks your position with cheap philosophy, tries to use tricks, and he'll bring it to the gutter, real quick. And he did that with this gentleman. And I like the way that the Muslim Lantern had handled himself in that exchange. He carried himself with dignity. I watched him a little bit, and I started seeing more of the same. Not much Muslim 2.0, at least initially, but he was defending a lot of the guys who are. And then I saw, okay, well, I know now who this guy is. He was charging $150 to $600 on average, between $150 to $300 to talk to him. And if you have any doubts about Islam, pay him $150 or $300, depending on the package you want, and he will help you with those doubts. And when I heard this, I said, okay, yeah, it's obvious. This guy's another one of these charlatans. He's another phony. Could you imagine someone, who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who believes the Quran is the book of Allah, and they're out there knowing there's a brother or a sister who has a doubt from an atheist, from some leftist university professor who's planting all kinds of filth into their brains. These are advanced psychologists we're dealing with here. They know how to manipulate. And this person is questioning whether Allah exists. And you're like, yeah, I'll help you with that, but give me $300. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, no normal, decent Muslim would even think that, much less do it. And they'll come at you with the excuse, well, he needs to be paid for his time. I'm sorry, but helping somebody is not something I need to be paid for. You don't have to ask me for money, or it's not even suggest that. That is just so absurd. It would never even enter my mind. I'd be like, oh, I'm glad to help. Where are you having doubts? Let's sit down. Let's talk. Let's discuss this. But no, $300, pal. And this is who this guy is. So let's just get that out of there real quick. He's charging money for counseling. It's not like he's traveling. I can understand a speaker if you're traveling around the country, you're leaving your family. You need to be helped. I mean, you need to have your travel arranged, and meals would be great. A little bit of a bonus for your effort, your time, because we have to pay bills out there. No one is faulting anyone for trying to provide for their family, but this is something that can be done for free in seconds nowadays with technology. Just hop on, talk to me. Let's go. Let's find out what your doubts are. But no, $300, pal. You had again. He said in this comment, he said that Sneako needs to change his approach. He didn't say that his behavior was horrid or wrong. He said, no, you just got to change the approach. He didn't call out any of the things I called out last week, any of the things I was seeing other brothers calling out during the week. Some things different than I did, some the same. No, just change your approach. Forgive him. He's new. Again, there was that excuse. You tell Daniel Hakikachu, who was somebody in the past that I have defended. I felt he did some good work for the community. And for the most part, he did come across as someone who was sincere. Until the last few months, we've started to see the same patterns of behavior from him. We've seen him accepting this. And really, he's actively going out there to work with Sneako because Sneako brings his viewers up. And it's kind of a collaboration thing that was going on. So Daniel Hakikachu comes out and says that Islam needs to be more real. We need to be less fearful when talking about our religion. For one, I don't see Sister Layla on this platform as being fearful. I'm certainly not fearful. None of us who believe in what we believe are fearful. It's about behaving in accordance with Sunnah. It's about behaving with the example of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions. Going around and could you imagine the Prophet ﷺ walking around the Kaaba, before the Hijrah and doing throat-slitting gestures to the Kafir in Mecca? I mean, obviously, to think such thing is an absurdity. So obviously none of us are fearful. We're not sugarcoating our religion. This guy's coming out there and acting again like a caricature of the religion, embarrassing the religion, misrepresenting the religion. It's not the same. And that, of course, was, his excuse. We just have to be a little bit more aggressive, as if that's going to work. When we are a minority, a lot of it who are living in the West, we are ordered to follow and obey the laws of the West, behave with dignity and decency. And when you do that, people will come. But when you behave like Sneako, people are going to want to fight you. They're going to want to have a conflict with you, which is exactly what has been happening over the last few years. So Sneako's taking bullets all this week. The Christians are after him. The Muslims, justifiably so, are after him. Atheists have been after him. People like Alex Jones had made a deal with Sneako for a 2-debate series. I don't recommend you guys watching part 1. It was smut and low IQ nonsense on both sides. Sneako ghosted him after he broke his terms of the deal. He would appear on Sneako. Sneako would then appear on him. It's how it all works. You share the audience, hey, you boost up my video, I'll boost up yours type of thing. Scratch your back, I'll scratch mine or whatever. And we saw the bullets again kept flying at him, coming at him from all directions. So what did Sneako do? He did what a lot of the grifters do. They went for your heartstrings, as we say, trying to get sympathy. So Sneako goes to Medina and he cosplays being a religious Muslim, a devout Muslim, if you will. He goes over there all week. We've seen these videos popping up. He's in the Masjid al-Nabawi there in Medina, beautiful place. I long to go there. I've only seen videos. I went to Mecca. Unfortunately, I never got to go to Medina either of the two times I've been to Mecca. It was just never in the cards, you know, so to speak. Inshallah, I'll be there soon. But he's there and he's doing things. He's certainly making sure that he's letting you see it all. He's showing you basically he's doing the salah. He's showing you him doing dua. He's showing him going to the Prophet ﷺ's grave. He even did a video where he was listening to the Adhan. It's like a library in a way of just all the cliches that you can imagine. He put them in there. Like, look, I'm good. I'm at the Masjid al-Nabawi. Look, I'm listening to the Adhan and I'm loving it. Look, I'm this. He had the books in the background and did a little short thing about Iqra, read. You know, look how he's got all these books behind him. He's getting educated. And he has said that he loved to stay in Saudi, but Allah gave him a mission to bring people to Islam in the United States. That's just funny, isn't it? So, yeah, of course, following his checklist, please don't fall for this. Again, I want to say the best things about people. As a Muslim, we should do that. We should try to hope for the best. We don't know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is. That's beyond our scope of knowledge. Maybe through, you know, this life that Sneako lived, working for the insiders, getting propped up by the insiders, maybe along the way, Allah is using this as a university, in a sense, to save him, to make him a very good ally for us. We'd obviously love to see somebody who has a big following coming out there and leading children and teenagers especially down the right path. We don't wish the worst on him. But what he's giving us, before he did this, we know the motives. They're clear as day. But inshallah, there will be something good could come from him. But not as of now, obviously. No. He also did something this week as well, which shows again why I said all what I said, was I don't see any changing in the behavior, because he came out on social media and he started, we know the World Cup's going on, it's a big deal. So he went out and endlessly started promoting the soccer player who goes by the name of Lamine Yamal. Now, Lamine Yamal is extremely overrated soccer player, for those of you familiar with the sport. He's got, statistically, I'm not going to give a lecture on soccer stats here, but his statistics rank among the worst. They're dead last on his team in virtually everything. He has done absolutely nothing in this tournament, but yet you see the Zionist media and you see the Muslim media both simultaneously promoting this guy. Why? Well, when you look at Lamine Yamal and his life, it becomes pretty obvious why that is. He is Muslim 2.0 on the soccer field or the football field. He is an adulterer. This guy he is a new woman like he changed T-shirts. He was with one now who, if you look at her, obviously she's not a pious woman by any measure. He posts videos of him and her fondling each other in public. I mean, all this Muslim 2.0 behavior, like, look, I'm a Muslim and I commit zina. It's not really bad, you know, it's a good thing. Look, Lee Mal's doing it. And again, like, you're telling the youth that this is a guy to idolize, to emulate, and he's committing open adultery with no problem. It goes back to my talks a couple times about the Christians and how over time we've seen Christianity just accept zina to where it's not even sin anymore. You go meet your Christian pastor, he's probably had 8 or 9 women before marriage. It's not abnormal. They normalize the sin. This is what they're trying to do to us. This guy in no way demonstrates Islamic virtues or behaviors. He is arrogant. He is just about every other kind of wretched behavior that you could imagine. It's just nothing. But if you listen to these influencers, you think that Lamine Yamal was like Abu Bakr. You know, may Allah be pleased with him. You think he had high virtue, but it's anything but the truth. Now, all the while, there are better examples. This is going to prove my point. There are better examples of Muslims to promote. If you're Sneako, if you're the mainstream media, if you're wanting to promote Islam, there's an example I'm going to get to in a second who's a night and day, comparison to Lamine Yamal. But Yamal is Muslim 2.0. Ousmane Dembele, who plays for France, is a far better player. Statistically, he has won the Ballon d'Or, the soccer award for the Player of the Year. He won back-to-back Champions League titles in Europe. So he sees a better player on the field. But something different about Dembele. Dembele actually follows his religion. He is a family man. You always see him with his wife, who dressed modestly. In some occasions, his wife covers her face to avoid showing herself in public, carries herself like a dignified woman. Dembele is a happily married man. You don't hear of him drinking alcohol like Lamine Yamal. You don't hear of him going out and being with scantily clad women around a swimming pool. You just don't see these things. Dembele was a man who got sucked into fame, and he went astray. He came back to Allah. He turned his life around, and now he is a fine example. He carries himself like a gentleman everywhere he goes. Now, if they really wanted to promote decency and promote Islam and promote virtue, they'd promote Ousmane Dembele. But I heard none of these guys talking about him. There's all Lamine Yamal, Lamine Yamal, Lamine Yamal, Lamine Yamal. It's just obvious, what the agenda is, here. It's Muslim 2.0. They are wanting to shove negative role models and wretched human beings down your throat. Oh, look, he's Muslim like you. You can behave like him. It's wow. While you have a player over here who is superior in accomplishment and superior in his deen, which is the most important thing, and it's crickets. It's absolute silence. None of these influencers are talking about Dembele. None of them. But they go to, again, Lamine Yamal, and just ask yourself why. And if you listen to me a lot, you know the answer to that. Because they're all on the same team. They all have the same agenda. They don't want what's right for us. They don't want what's right by Allah. They want Muslim 2.0. And they're corrupt to the bone. And their job is to basically lead you astray. Once you understand that, it all makes sense. Their job is to take your money, for those of you who are talking about in a minute, who are donating to these people, as well as create false heroes, false virtues and values and behaviors. Do not give them any of your attention. And as we're going to progress, and we're going to show several examples like I just mentioned, we don't want to give them your money, either. And that brings us to today's figure. We're kind of going back on what Sneako has done, but there's another one who is bigger, than him. This is another character in this sad comedy of the modern state of Islamic dawah, Islamic apologetics on YouTube and in social media. It's a woman who goes by the name of Lilly J. Now, just hearing that name alone, Lilly J. That sounds so cute and innocent. It's like a 5-year-old girl. You imagine a European kind of colonial, so it's Lilly J. Insert British accent or, whatever. And this is another person that just emerged out of nowhere. I had no clue who this individual was. And then it was like, bang, boom, 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 video after video after video in my feed. I'm like, who is this? So I knew who she was from the beginning, and I saw right through the scam that we are now going to expose. So when I first did the first ever Muslim 2.0, I went through, again, I talked about this a week or so ago. I went through all the different categories of these people: the grifter, the agent, the provocateur, the person who's there who got seduced by fame and went a bit astray, but you still can find some truth in their talks. But this was the obvious with her, was the phony grifter. Somebody who's pretending to be Muslim simply to exploit Muslim goodwill and the trend that was going on at the time of Muslims rising in prominence on social media. But I didn't mention her by name. I said there was a woman to a female, something to that extent. I can't remember. It's been a long time. because I didn't want people going out there and looking at her and giving her more views and more attention, because at that time, within a few short months, she was #1 in the world. The #1 most viewed Muslim was this particular Lilly J. So this woman converted to Islam allegedly at the end of Ramadan in 2025. She had been researching it supposedly before that period of time. So she was someone who went from just, I'm converting to a Shahada, to the #1 Muslim influencer in the world in a matter of months. That just simply does not happen without the machine behind you. It just doesn't. You're not going to go. Sister Layla's been streaming here for double-digit years and has never come close to the prominence of this woman. This woman, like that, became the #1. And of course, as we go through this, you are going to again see the same reason. She was platformed by the most popular Muslim influencers in the world. They all had her on there. Sneako, of course, he had her on there. No surprise there. Muhammad Hijab, Mufti Mink. You start getting spots on their programs, your views are going to multiply, because Sneako's got millions of followers on Twitter. Muhammad Hijab is close. Muhammad Hijab's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I don't know the exact number it is now. Probably close, if not over 1 million. And you're instantly given this platform when you have no knowledge. You're not speaking on anything of substance. You're just simply a supposed white female revert who is now just converted, and you're the #1 Muslim influencer in the world. Of course, these guys platformed her, as we're going to see exactly who she is. But you don't get more of an obvious example of a phony than this woman. Her main claim to fame was she would stand in a video and she would talk to it and say, "Chat GPT," with her Australian accent. And she would ask Chat GPT a question where she was hiding the prop. So what she was doing was giving like old debunked Islamic arguments that certain apologists use, I'm not going to name their names, a couple decades ago, that were poor understandings of the Bible, that make Muslims look like they're poorly read. They don't understand the New Testament or the Old Testament, misquoting things, taking things out of context. I mean, really, I'm watching her and I'm going, oh my God, people are watching this. They're going to think we're a bunch of idiots, that Muslims don't read, that we don't know. We just say whatever pops into our brain, basically. And it was such bad content. And it's funny because just to show the difference between being a female versus a male, and having the machine versus not having a machine, she spawned a bunch of clones. These were other guys that had converted to Islam allegedly, and they were doing the exact same thing in the videos and getting like hundreds of views. And she's getting in the millions. Again, it's the same content. In fact, their stuff was more knowledgeable, more accurate, and was actually better. But they were doing the whole same Chat GPT script exactly like she was doing, and they're getting a fraction, of the views. She's getting way up there. They're getting way, way less. And if you see this woman, it is a face full of plastic surgery. It's really, I mean, she looks like a cartoon character in some ways. There was several sci-fi movies in the past where they would, one of them, I can't remember the name of it, where all the people were robots and they didn't know, and they had these kind of robotic faces and people figured it out, like some body snatcher movie or something. And she looks like a horror movie character to me when I saw her. It's like nothing of her face is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her. It's a plastic mess of Botox and makeup. And people went wild for her. And when I checked out her Instagram, this is after the conversion, it was filled with what they call in the industry as thirst traps. And this is going to really open up a can of worms we're going to talk about later with these men out here who we're going to call you out tonight. All you weak, spineless men who throw yourselves with no shame at anything that flicks an eyelash at you. I mean, shameful men just following this woman and giving her attention off of these. One picture was her from the back, and Obviously, you could see the shape of her, anatomy, if you will, and things like that. And she was supposedly, a devout Muslim at this point. And these pictures were still there. Now, they were removed later because she got called out for it. But she initially started off that way to bring these men in. And Sister Layla was talking about something before I went on today. I was hearing it as a log. It's very similar with these weak men out here taking religious advice from these people. And they can't control their gaze. They're that weak. And they'll start giving them money. So let's look at some of the things that this woman has reportedly been accused of. We're going to come back to some of her ideology as the Muslim 2.0 component to this. So her and her partner, she calls him a partner. In Islam, we don't say partner, we say husband, we say wife. They basically stole over $75,000 in Thailand from a Chinese businessman. That's still pending. Some kind of a deal gone wrong. That's a lot of money. Obviously, you stole 75,000 now. We can let her slide on this for now until there's more evidence, but this is just what's out there. Now, this stuff here, there's no letting it slide. So she's been doing big dawah efforts and public works and things of the sort. And it was the Christians first and then independent researchers who came in and they exposed this woman for the fraud that she was. Muslims continue to defend her and are still defending her to this day, as we're going to look at here in a minute. But they were coming out with a lot of stuff that was going on, how she was using, again, the Muslim desire, the goodness, the kindness, the desire to earn the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the desire to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against us to raise money for her own filthy pockets. So the first thing she did, she had a couple major charities, stuff dealing with Gaza, bakeries and food. And then she had an orphanage in Uganda. So it was exposed early on when she was showing videos of the supposed facilities that these were completely fake. They were computer generated children and digitally altered images. AI experts went through and they picked it apart. They saw backgrounds changing from one scene to another. They saw, I think, the frames of the doors change. They saw different kind of overlapping going on. These were literally digitally imposed AI kids. They didn't exist. She had an unregistered charity known as the Lilly J Foundation. In countries, she's claiming she was operating in these countries where there was no legal registry. As an example, in Uganda, you can't just open an orphanage. I can't just say, hey, let's get a couple guys from the neighborhood and let's open an orphanage. I mean, obviously, we know that the environment we live in, that's not going to fly. You've got to go through rigorous processes. Children can be harmed. You're taking advantage of vulnerable kids that have nobody to stand in their back. So governments are pretty tight when it comes to who gets to run these. You have to go through lots of checks. There's lots of processes, paperwork, things like that. And Uganda is very strict on this. And no records, obviously. You already had fake AI videos, so why would there be records either? They had no records of this orphanage ever existing because it didn't. There was no registration, nothing. Total lies. Aid groups working in these areas had no records or knowledge of any of these charity projects. None in Gaza, none in Uganda, zero. She created fake awards for herself, promoting her global humanitarian. These were found out to be AI generated also as well. So this lady created fake awards to award herself, to build trust, to say, look, I'm getting humanitarian awards. It's safe to donate to me. I don't know the exact numbers of the amount of money she collected, but her being the #1 Muslim influencer in the world, I'm sure it wasn't small. And she made a killing. All this money was pocketed by her and her husband. I mean, absolutely horrendous behavior. And just like Sneako, she did videos from Mecca showing her Hajj, where she's filming herself, snapping selfies every few seconds. She's coated in makeup. I mean, Hajj season at that time in Saudi Arabia was extremely hot, and you're out there just constantly making sure you do your makeup for every single video that you make. I mean, makeup will run in that heat. You are going to be sweating. I've lived there. It is very hot. It's very humid in some parts, and your makeup's going to run. And every time she's doing a video, the makeup is fresh. And she's just showing, what kind of good Muslim she is. And people bought it because they just, for some reason, we have a weakness that we just simply blindly trust these people before we really investigate who are they. I didn't even know who this person was last week. A month later, they're the number one influencer in the world. Why is that? That's not organic. They're not going to allow someone speaking the truth to rise like that. They just simply are not. It's always going to be one of these agents. She famously made a statement because she was criticized so many times by legitimate brothers. We're saying, sister, you're Muslim now. You need to dress modestly. You need to cover a bit, wear a hijab. And she said, so what if I don't wear the hijab? There are Muslims who don't fast, who don't pray. So there's Muslims who don't fast in Ramadan. There's Muslims who don't pray. Why are you coming after me? For not wearing a hijab. I mean, it's absolutely just no serious Muslim would make a statement like that. Well, there's a Muslim guy, he never prays. So I can commit zina. I mean, there's a guy right here that pray. I mean, it's like, come on. I mean, it's laughable. It's funny even to try to say such things. But that's what she did. And again, it's just terrible. But she exposed something that is very dark, and it's a weakness in a lot of Muslim men. And I'm going to call some of them out. I say, I love you. As a whole, it's all out of love. But particularly Arab and Asian men. They have this kind of craziness for these white European women with blonde hair. It's just what it is. For me to say anything else, I'd be lying. This woman, again, by any means to me, is not attractive. The hair is fake, for one. She's got dark hair like me. She doesn't have blonde hair. Fake dyed, plastic surgery. Looks like I said a robot in a bad science fiction movie. And they just fawned over this woman. They threw themselves at her. You'd see the comments. It was just constant praise and veneration, like she was a lady of Jannah. She was a maiden of paradise, this woman, the way they treated her. You'd see so many comments like, marry me, please marry me, and all this stuff. It was so disturbing, to watch. The way they just blindly gave their trust and their love to this woman and praised her. And of course, we know the reason why. I just highlighted it. And it is a weakness in men. Of course, there's white Muslim men who do the same thing. But I noticed from my times living around the world, this seems to be a very weak spot for a lot of Arab men, a lot of Asian men. They have this lust, for white women that blinds their judgment. It makes them weak. They can't control themselves. It's like, come on. You're a servant of Allah. Carry yourself with dignity. Lower your gaze. Turn away. Don't give blind trust to someone because you find them attractive. Does anyone think that if the shaitan comes at you, he's going to come at you ugly and filthy? No, absolutely not. The shaitan makes the filthy beautiful. And in the case of this woman, if you really have that God consciousness, when you look at someone like this, you're going to see someone who is ugly. When I see this woman, I don't find an ounce of attractiveness. I look at her in the same way I look at any man, to be honest, because I know who she is. I know what she represents. It's ugliness on the inside trying to cloak itself with phony artificial beauty. And men bought it hook, line, and sinker. And all the Zionists, they know this. All they have to do is get a phony, made-up white girl, throw her at these men, and they'll sell their families, for an opportunity to talk to her. They'll sell their own dignity, their deen, everything. That's all they have to do. We're going to come to that, how the Zionists have used this trick in other cultures and communities as well here. And I've seen countless others other than this Lilly J of white revert women who are coming on the video. They got the hijab back here, covered in makeup, wearing the tight shirt, which shows off everything practically. And again, you see the comments after another. Beautiful, beautiful, amazing, hot, hot, marry me, marry me. One even did a video, and I just wish I could have came on there and had a talk with this particular woman, because she's like, oh, I can't get the men to stop doing this to me. And she's playing Little Miss Innocent, obviously, and she's out there in the video begging for this type of attention, because these women can come in here to these communities and be treated like this with this level of veneration and can get anything they want from these men. I've seen it in the masjid here. There was a woman that came in. She was probably in her 40s, and I walked into the masjid, into the back section, and I came through there, and she was sitting there with the imam, and she was wearing, right in front of me, couldn't miss it. She was wearing an outfit with literally no bra and a tank top inside the masjid. And no one was telling her she shouldn't come to the masjid dressed like this. And you saw her pop up again. It's like every time you saw her, there's multiple men, around her. She can go in there and immediately be showered with compliments, attention, and gifts. And these men will give everything. Like I said, they sell their whole families for an opportunity to be with such a questionable woman woman with lack of character, questionable morals. And it's really sad, the state of men in this society, how weak they have become. It's disheartening, to see it. And this trick has been used, as I was about to get into earlier, time and time again by the architects of control. These guys I started seeing this happening in the Christian conservative communities in 2008. There was a female politician, ran with John McCain against Barack Obama, went by the name of Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin came out, and she had the glasses. She had the kind of school teacher, look. And she was out there, she was hunting. She posed for all these pictures with guns and posing on the back of the pickup truck. And you had Southern white men, I'm voting for her. It's like, are you kidding me? Do you know her politics? Do you know her knowledge? This woman was so politically illiterate that she had said she knew foreign policy because she was the governor of Alaska, and Russia was across the Bering Strait over there, that she could see Russia with binoculars. She said something to that effect, and that was her foreign policy knowledge. She routinely embarrassed herself in debates, but these men loved her because their guard was down. They were just infatuated with a woman. They were infatuated with something they created in their mind, of an image of what they wanted a woman to be. She was the manifestation of that, and they blindly followed it. And she started the trad woman movement. We're seeing the trad movement now everywhere. All these women, a lot of them, when you look them up, they're former pornographers in some cases. These are women that were doing adult films, and they got older. And as adult films, sometimes men have seen you enough, they want someone else. You don't have very long careers. And then they all of a sudden, they're like, well, I'm Christian now, and I found Jesus. And they come out and they start doing videos like that. And then the attention is right back on them. They're grifting that community. And we're seeing a lot of it. And it's sinister again behind the scenes, because they're injecting a lot of liberalism and feminist ideas into those conservative communities. The same way Lilly J was interjecting liberalism and feminist ideas into the Muslim communities, getting men to go for the sister who's not wearing the hijab. What does that do to the psychological makeup of our real sisters out there, our sisters who carry themselves with dignity? They see all the men fawning over and wanting to marry this thing, and they feel bad about themselves. So what are those sisters going to do? They're going to go out there and try to be like her. It's a domino effect. It affects every ounce of our community when women see men who they're choosing. Women are becoming who they think men like, just like a lot of men mold themselves to who they think women like. It goes both ways. Highly destructive. A lot of very nasty undertones to this. And our sisters deserve respect. They deserve to be rewarded for being modest, for being a lady, for being shy. And they deserve the best of men, not this thing I was just referring to. And again, guess who came out with all that stuff I talked about has been proven. She made the AI videos. The charities do not exist. She generated the AI awards. All that stuff, it's known. There's no escaping it. But guess what? Sneako and the other Muslim defenders came out and they defended her. This again is a woman who got caught exploiting the kindness of the Ummah for money. The case is closed. This woman is not a Muslim. There is no way you could be a Muslim, someone who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who models their life after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and make fake children in AI videos to take people's money. You could not be a Muslim and do that. That is impossible. That is not a mistake. That's not the equivalent of a man or a woman being somewhere they shouldn't be by accident. They find someone attractive. They get kind of sucked up in the moment. Maybe they do something they shouldn't do. That's serious in our religion, but it's an accident. They're temptations. The shaitan took over. This is a calculated move. This is something that takes someone out of Islam. This woman sat down, said, we are going to make fake AI videos. We are going to lie. We are going to get these people to give us their money, and we're going to take it from them. And we're going to get wealthy off this. No believer in Allah could do that. Again, I mentioned someone who misses the prayer. He's weak. He could be lazy. He lacks motivation. He's still a Muslim. He needs to improve himself. He's not following Allah's will, but he's weak. He can change. He can get stronger. Someone who misses a fast because of weakness, of a biological need to eat, he can work on that. This is not that, and it cannot be compared to that. This is intentional exploitation of the community. No defending it. But what they're doing is they're setting the stage. It's as clear as day. So when they get caught, which they will, a lot of them already have, they will be able to say the same thing. And she'll come out and defend them, and the other ones will come out and defend them. Oh, he just made a mistake. You know, you got to love him anyway. He's still our brother. He's still our sister. She's still our sister. It's so tiring. They're all on the same team. They're all supporting, themselves. And again, for someone to profess belief in Allah and do this, you have to question their belief. You cannot trust. No believer would do this. This is the behavior of someone who clearly does not believe in the day of judgment. No way. Absolutely not. And again, you have it on both sides. Christians are out there now. What they're doing in their grift is they're saying that the Muslims are going to kill them. There's been 4 Christian apologists in the last 6 months that have raised between $50,000 to $150,000 for new houses, for private security, because those Muslims are coming to kill me. My family needs you. My children, they're going to kill my children. Of course, none of this obviously has ever happened. And they've now raised killing. It's the one thing. The Muslims use the charities. The Christians who are coming after Islam 24/7, they're saying Muslims are coming after them to kill them. All of them have done it. If you're familiar with the Christian apologist David Wood, he got a new house built by his audience because he said he had to move because those pesky Muslims were going to come to his door and kill his wife and children. He lived there for decades. And obviously that did not happen. And he got the money. There was this former Muslim clown, goes by the name of Apostate Prophet. He said he needed private security because the Muslims were going to camp outside of his home and ambush him and his wife. People gave him $50,000 for that. And, this has been going on with their community much longer than it's been going on in ours. So you see it on both sides. Both social media influencers being completely the same playbook, same end goal, and that's to take our money, take our time and our energy and to misguide us. And I hope today I was able to convey this information as best as I can, because I really want you guys to educate your children, educate your friends, stay away from these people. Unless you're watching them just to see, like I do, what they're up to, catching a glimpse to see so you can warn others. Obviously, there's no harm in that. And for those of you who may have given to some of these people's charities, know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala judges on intention. Anyone who gave to these charities had the best intention. They wanted to help those kids. They wanted to help the people in Gaza. The sin is not on you. You're getting the reward. Your intention was for good. The sin is on the people who are collecting, the people who are lying, who are pocketing the money instead of giving it to what they're claiming they're giving it for. So there's no sin on any Muslim who donated these people. These are good faith individuals, good brothers and sisters that wanted to make the world a better place and just got swindled. They trusted somebody, and you should be able to trust a Muslim. You should. But that's just not the world that we live in anymore, where you've got all these imposters coming out here and promoting this filth and degeneracy, and it's only going to get worse. We have to kill their audience. A lot of them are propped up by bots, which is another thing. Sneako, a lot of people have estimated, good over half of his audience is bots. That's another way they promote these guys really quickly, is they get their firms, a lot of them are in India, and they create all these different followers for these people. There's a guy, I talked about him last week. He goes by the name of Nick Fuentes. He was the guy I was talking about who partnered with Sneako, and Nick Fuentes is a Catholic Christian white nationalist. And then Sneako's supposedly a devout Orthodox Muslim, and they're great friends with each other. It's too much of a contradictory ideology. But Nick Fuentes was another guy that came up out of nowhere, propped up to spread hate and division in the society. And they found out that the majority of his followers were in Pakistan and India. And I highly doubt that normal people in Pakistan and India are watching a Catholic Christian white nationalist. These are bot farms. We're seeing it now with a lot of these programs that have been defunded by the Trump administration. You're seeing a lot of artists as well, like this famous artist Bad Bunny. As a Puerto Rican gentleman, promotes LGBTQ. His music is just disgusting. It's in Spanish, so most people, they just think, oh, it's a good beat, it's fun to dance to. They don't know what he's saying. But you look up these lyrics, the English translation or whatever your language is, that you are comfortable understanding the most, translate his Spanish lyrics into that language, and you'll be horrified at the level of filth. Well, they found out that his Spotify and his stream numbers have dropped in the 90s of percentages once they started shutting down a lot of this funding. They're propping up people artificially. They're generating public demand for people who the public does not want. Look, these guys popular. He's number one in the world. And people go, oh, really? I'll go give him a listen. It just gets them bigger. And it's all manipulation and lies. And that's how, again, they come like a Lilly J. They're a revert. They convert to Islam. Boom. Because you have 1 million followers or 500,000, something like that, you start popping up on more and more algorithms. More and more normal Muslims see you. They see this person's extremely popular. They start watching them, and it just grows like a snowball running down the hill. But they get that ball rolling with these bots. And then a lot of the real Muslims, like I was saying with Sneako, they start leaving. And then it starts creating a vacuum there because there's no real authentic listeners anymore. And you start to see Sneako's stream numbers are way down. The bots aren't cooking it up like they used to because a lot of the real people are leaving. So one of the things to look out for here to understand that these people are not organic. They don't just pop up like this. This is something that's just driven from a machine. And it's about control and manipulation and, of course, taking our wealth, time, and resources. So, final 10 minutes, open for questions, comments. Please share whatever you got. Sister Layla? Yeah, I can't see the comments. I need Sister Layla can read them, or if anybody's in the room that has any voice comments.
Can you hear us?
Yes, Sister, I can hear you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
One of the things that caught my attention, I didn't think anyone else was noticing this except myself, is that they have, when you were talking about the Botox and the this and the that, and I'm telling you, every part of their body being changed and
I forgot I
People
got
have
my
to-
other, I don't have to log in and do that other stuff I was doing. So, yeah, this was really a good one. And we got a
Oh,
lot of comments I'm looking at because I'm on my cell phone in this other program. And they were like, wow, a lot of one of the people here typed about time somebody spoke about this person. I must, they wrote something else. I'm going to say person about
Yeah.
this person.
Yeah,
They
there's a
said,
couple of
because I've had
adjectives.
so many questions about this individual, because the person, let me turn up this one so I can hear you too. Okay. This person has been Muslim for quite some time, but the person still isn't dressing properly. The person is still under my idea because I converted to Islam around the same time that she did.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to start practicing immediately after all this time. And since she sat in the company of so many famous personalities, including Mufti Mink, you would think that somebody would have told her by now that she should be covering her body, that she should not be interacting with non-mahram men, that it's haram to do a lot of the things that she's doing. Why has none of these famous people who she's interacted with told her that it's time for her to start living this way of life? There's no grace period in Islam.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, it's unfair. Like, I'll give my example here. And I'm not a person that has any shame in the mistakes I've made. Before I committed or converted to Islam, I was a very heavy drinker. I loved drinking beer. It was one of my favorite things to do in my early 20s, all the way up to my late 20s. I drank alcohol. I couldn't socialize with people typically without drinking. Now, when I converted to Islam, it wasn't like this magical conversion like you see in the movies or some of these reverts tell these lies. I mean, a lot of them, you can't say they're all lies, obviously. People do have good intent. But for me, it was a bit of a struggle getting myself off of something I had been doing for a decade. And I slowly, through the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I got off of it. I reimagined life. I learned to live life without drinking alcohol. I understood why alcohol was haram. And I eliminated it from my life, but it was not easy. It was something that I was still doing while I was Muslim. But the difference was I wasn't coming on a platform like this with a beer in my hand during this time period and telling, I mean, I've been Muslim now for 16 years. It's been a long time. But back then, let's say I was on this platform and I'm sitting here with a beer in my hand, telling everybody about Islam while I'm drinking alcohol. That's the equivalent of what these people are doing. And these guys, like she said, they're coming out there and they're defending it. They're not calling this out. No, you keep those things private until you get them right. When you're coming out public, people are watching you. You can't be coming in public dressed the way you did before you were Muslim. You can't come in public with any of your shortcomings. You fix those things before you come into public. But obviously, I question, as I did this presentation, any validity in her conversion. I think it was all phony from the beginning. I think this was something that she saw people who were her agents said, hey, look, you should do this. You could use this and you'll make a lot of money and promote this while you're there, promote that. And like I said, I think there's a very dark undertone to this. It's about getting our real legitimate sisters to try to emulate these women because they're going to see these women getting all this male love and attention. And these sisters are going to like natural women. They're going to want to be liked by men. They're going to be liked by a man, hopefully, not men, plural. And they might emulate this behavior thing. This is what I have to do to attract a husband is I have to be like Lilly J because look at all the attention she's getting. So it's very dark, in what this agenda is.
Hey, another. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking into the phone. I'm so not used to using my phone. I'm sitting there, got the phone like I'm talking on the phone. I'm reading from the phone. Okay, another person here put a comment. Brother Amir put a comment here. He said, "Do you think that it's possible that they're using people like her to try to change our Islamic way because she's a famous Australian woman?" He said, and do you think that they're using her to try to make it so that the women in our way of life don't have to cover up and stuff like that to promote feminism and things like that.
100%. If Brother Amir saw my other previous videos, I did outline this. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what they're doing. That's why Sneako exists. That's why all these people are known by us. That's 100% what they're doing. It's Muslim 2.0. They are here to psychologically, like the Rand Corporation said in 2005, they are here to change the behaviors of Muslims. They are here to moderate, to make us moderate or modernize us. They love that word. And this will do it. It has so many different layers to this behavior of different areas it targets all at the same time. It is targeting, women, obviously, as I said, making the women emulate her. It's also targeting the men because, like I said, these men have this fetish for these type of women. They can't control themselves. They just throw themselves at them. And when men are in love with a woman in this way, they're going to typically absorb like a sponge the viewpoints, behaviors that woman is espousing off, And it's scary. And it was working, but I do think I'm seeing a lot of a backlash that is coming. I mean, Islam has core principles, unlike Christianity, which does not. Christianity hides behind the fact that Jesus died for your sins. We abolished the law, as Paul said. So Islam, you can't do that. Islam has clear laws. Islam has a revelation from the Creator himself. It's a lot hard to play with us. They are succeeding on minor levels and winning battles here and there, but in the grand war, they will lose because of this fact. There's always going to be Muslims out there who are strong in the convictions, who are going to stand firm and fight against this, always. But they're winning weak people out there, there's no question about it. And it's intentional.
Yes, one of the things that draws my attention too is I went to a lot of, this was during Eid, the past Eid. I went to a lot of Islamic events where people had been born and raised as Muslims and Muslimas. And the way that they would dress, some of them didn't even wear hijabs. And their daughters were not being raised to wear hijabs. You would never be able to tell they were Muslims.
100%. That I saw that on Eid myself. The second Eid, the one recently, I was not at the masjid for any of the events. But the first one after Ramadan, I was. And I know exactly what you're saying. It's like there were several women there that I'm like, if you looked around, one was wearing literally, like I said, the one woman I talked about in the presentation, that was a different day. That wasn't in the Eid. But then there was another one in the Eid. It was a younger one, probably about 18. And she was walking around with a tank top. And it's like, what is this? I mean, it's not even the shoulders anymore. It's like, and this is what it'll do is at first the hijab comes back to it's off the back of the head, then the hijab is gone, or makeup, a lot of makeup with full hijab, then move the hijab back a little bit, then the abaya comes, then it starts being like jeans and a regular shirt, then that gets more skimpy, and it just over time, it's like if you go back and you look in America, you look at what women wore in the 1800s. A dress was down covering the feet. You go and look at the 1900s, it became the ankles. Then you saw in the 60s, they started having the knee-high skirts. And that was risque back then, the knee-high skirt. Like when I would see pictures of my grandmother when she was living as a teenager, there was always at the church, it was the knee-high skirts. And my grandmother was horrified by what women were wearing in the 1980s and the 1990s. And of course, if my grandmother was still alive, she'd be even more horrified at what the women are wearing in the 2020s. It just kept getting up and up and up. I mean, I see women now in public. I mean, it could be Muslim, it could be Christian. They're basically wearing their bedroom clothes in public. And you're seeing it now creeping into the masjids. And no one, these imams, none of them stop it. None of them says anything or speaks out. And yeah, it's unfortunate. Sister Layla, you there?
Reading. Yes, I'm
Oh.
sorry. Thought I had the mic down. Yeah, wait a minute. I'm reading what she said. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, sister. She said, she says, I believe they are pushing this Masonic agenda. Once
Well,
is
when
a
you
type.
go behind,
Yeah.
continue.
She said, I believe they are pushing this Masonic agenda.
Well, it is. When you go back into that and you see who's running the world, I mean, it's a couple of groups. Obviously, they're one of them. You have the Zionist agendas. They all typically flow together harmoniously. Not much difference between the two. So yeah, I mean, the same tactics exactly they used on Christians, they're using on Muslims. That's why the script is so easy to spot. It's the same script. Like I mentioned, what they did in 2008 with the Christian community, because you were starting to see around that time there was kind of a pullback of conservative America away from the liberalism the liberalism really took over in the late 90s. It became the kind of dominant ideology. And then you saw in the 2000s, it was like a return to conservatism. And then you saw in the end, they started, like I said, they started sending those women at them. And those women were doing things that conservative men liked. They were hunting. They were saying they liked to fish. Now you can go to a fishing magazine, and I'm not into fishing by any means, but I know plenty of people who are. And you go to the pages of a fishing magazine, and there's half naked women in a fishing magazine holding up the fish. And you see they found that little niche. Another thing they did was they went into the video game market. When I was growing up, video games was a niche thing. It was played by, typically, males, about 100%. If you found a girl there, she usually wasn't very good looking, who was playing video games. And then you saw in the 2010s the beginning of the female streamer. Now there are girls exploiting men in the video game market. And there's one famous one. Her name is Pokimane. Pokimane is a Moroccan who lives in Canada, and she became the biggest female streamer of all time. She's made millions of dollars for herself. And all you have to do is watch a Pokimane stream, and it's all nothing but selling sex. Nothing but that. She has no substance to the content. And the men just, again, marry me, marry me. She likes video games like me, marry me. And they give her money, to watch her play video games and wear skimpy clothing. And of course, what she's doing is she's also throwing in feminism and leftist ideas to these men. Like I mentioned before, liberals don't reproduce. The liberal ideology at its core is anti-family. It's anti-traditional marriage. Liberals reproduce through indoctrination, through creating others like them ideologically. They do it in universities, they do it in social media, they do it with movies and entertainment. So this is what they do. It's in all areas now are being targeted. And they use women initially as an olive branch to get that stuff welcomed in. And you're seeing a lot more Muslim female influencers are coming up. And in one way or another, they are selling sexuality to the men. Not all of them. There are some good ones out there. They are there. But a vast majority of them are doing this. And it's the men's fault for being so weak, for not following their Islamic principles and lowering their gaze and turning the channel. They continue to shower these women with money and compliments, and then they're absorbing that ideology.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier today. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that's why he told them before he died, lower your gaze. This is your fitna, because it's the female devil. Whenever these men look at these women who are not mahrams and talk to them, that's when their jinn will make these. This is Sahih Muslim. That your personal jinn will make what the woman is saying seem like she's speaking God's gift when she ain't talking nothing, and will make her appealing to you when she's nothing. But these brothers won't listen. The Dawah brothers are falling for the women. The imams are falling for the women. The sheikh, the scholars are falling for them. And so, of course, the laymen are too.
Yeah, Muhammad Hijab, I didn't mention him earlier. He platformed this Lilly J as well. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, how many of these men gave her attention, put her on their platforms, and boosted her up?
Yeah, and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told them, these women, y'all are going to bite the bullet of the woman.
Absolutely.
Right before he died.
Yeah, when I heard you talking about that before I came on, I said, "Oh, this is going to be perfect segue," because it was I already had this thing written out where we were going to go with this, and you were already talking about it. Because again, I love my Arab brothers out there, but they are very weak to these Western women, Asian brothers as well. We all have preferences. Don't get me wrong, but I mean,
And
again,
especially
when you,
white women. What did they tell the prophet at the Battle of Tabuk?
yep,
Oh, prophet, I had never seen a white woman before, and they will be your downfall. That's Sahih
yes,
Bukhari.
that exotic, something
Yep,
different, something new.
something different and new. Yep,
And you
anything
see the
different.
amount of makeup these women are wearing. It's not like that white women are any less or more beautiful than anyone else. It's the
It's not.
fact that
Everything's fake. Everything's
it's the
fake.
cosmetics,
And
you
even the
know?
black women, everything is fake. TikTok, that's why I
Yep.
was telling them on TikTok. Ain't nothing real on TikTok. And I'm a woman, I can tell you these women are so fake. They're dying. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a TikToker, a little young girl, 24 years old, Nigerian TikToker influencer. Was making a lot of money just 2 weeks ago. And she was beautiful at 24. Why did she have all this surgery? She had a booty
Yeah.
touche, and bled to death. Died at 24
Mm-mm.
after having the surgery. Nigerian girl. And
Yeah.
why did she have all this? These women are not, these young girls are not real. Their eyes are not real. They get the dye. Forget the contact lenses now. They're doing the dyeing of the
Yep.
eye.
They dye their
Everything is
eyes. It used to be
fake.
just putting harmless lenses in. Yeah. Now you're actually dyeing and tattooing your eye in a sense.
Everything, the mouth, the nose, the eyes. I mean, everything is fake. The kickstand for a leg, kickstand for arm, bald headed. Everything is fake.
Yep.
The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw all this. He saw the internet. That's what he meant when he said Islam will enter every home through the internet. He saw this. Allah let him see all this before he died. And that's what he was warning these brothers of. Lower your gazes. Stop looking at these women. And they're not real. They're she devils.
Yep.
And we women can see, ask me what they saying. They ain't talking about nothing.
No.
Not a darn thing. But these brothers are duped.
Yeah, this Lilly J, she would use the chat GPT and she would quote something from the Bible completely out of context, which just makes Muslims look like idiots. The Christian apologists watched her and just recorded her videos and would have a whole hour worth of content just laughing at the things that she was saying about the Bible. They're just completely not true.
And as a Muslim, like you say, I've never saw it. I'm like, what is the big deal with this? Well, this woman is so fake. We all saw through her. We're like, she's nothing. But these the famous brothers fell for her. I'm like, what are y'all doing with this woman on your lap? And she's shaking her hair in your face. And what is it? This woman is nobody. And she just is fake.
Yeah, I saw her the first time. I mean, I thought she looked like a robot from a bad science fiction movie.
No, but I'm just saying, not just faking looks, but her actions about Islam. I mean, Allah knows what's in your heart, but whatever's in the heart, like the prophet says, is going to show through your actions. She's not a good actress.
No.
It's fake. I mean, I know she was a model before converting to Islam.
And a singer.
And a singer, but she wasn't no actress. She had to take some acting lessons because her acting sucks.
Yeah, it was all so over the top and phony, like the over dramatizations, the overacting, basically, like a B-rated acting movie where people overact.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other comments, people? Yeah, he's streaming straight from Zoom. Hey, I'm not using a streaming program with him. That's why it's so clear and I mean it's so stable. Yeah. I didn't go here. Although my stream program was good, but this was less headache.
Yeah, the old ways.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, the brother here is saying, he said, I really enjoyed this 2.0. Yeah, I can see because look at the views he's got. Yeah, y'all have been watching it all week. 500 views. This is because this is what we're dealing with today. He's saying, will you please stick with this? Because there's so many other 2.0 Muslims. Will you stick with this topic for a while?
Oh, absolutely. We've been doing this now off and on for a year. When it started with Andrew Tate, which was the biggest views I ever had at the time, I did an expose on him, going through his past and his background and the ideology, because the Muslim community worshiped this man. through the influencers. I saw the kids in the masjid quoting Andrew Tate like he was the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It was just so disturbing. And we started it with him, and then we progressed into the kind of generalizations of them. We went to the grifters, we went to the Sneako types. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. As I keep up with these guys, I mean, I shouldn't sometimes, but also it's about informing people, as I mentioned,
Especially
you're
the
not going to
youth.
learn anything from them, but you can gather, what they're up to, what they're promoting.
Yes, and this appeal, like they're typing here, the youth need to know, because the youth are so easily brainwashed, as Sister Amira's typing here. Exactly. And so, yeah, you need to, yeah, this is even, she says this is great for even her as a parent, because she didn't know about a lot of these guys until you start talking about it, she said. And now she can correct her sons, about, no, he ain't nobody to look up to.
Like
MMA
this Lamine
fighter.
Yamal, if you're waiting with the men out here, especially watching the World Cup, you can't turn on the World Cup and not hear about Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal has done nothing. He is zero. The media, the Zionist media, like I said, they're hyping him up for an immigration agenda. You got the Muslim social media is hyping him up because he's Muslim 2.0. While you have good Muslims that played in this, who are family men and carry themselves with honor and dignity, like Ousmane Dembele, and they get nothing. None of these guys talk about the real example, a real role model, a real family man, a man of high character. You hear nothing about him. It's all about this Lamine Yamal with his 5 girlfriends and pictures of chicks around him in bikinis and things like that,
Yeah, that's sad. That's really sad. Like Allah says in the Quran, they want us to be like them. That's what the non-Muslims want, us to be like them: fornicators, adulterers, drunkards, druggers, So they promote that.
Absolutely. And you got, anytime you see Dembele off the field, he's got his daughter in his arms. His wife is essentially wearing the niqab, full abaya, and a lot of people don't agree with the niqab. That's neither here nor there. But she's dressed modestly. And
Yeah.
it's, again, family pictures, got the baby in the arms, arm around the wife. You see Lamine Yamal, it's with his shirt off, with necklaces on, like he's a rapper surrounded by a bunch of his entourage of women, pretty much. And this is who they're promoting.
Right. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Brother Yusuf, I guess you can close us out, inshallah.
All right, everyone. Inshallah, I'll see you next week. We'll have something new. Maghrib prayer came about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago here on the East Coast. So I'm going to go have salah. If all you are on the East Coast, please do the same. And inshallah, I'll see you next week. Jazakallah khair for coming, and have a good one.
Okay, guys, make sure you got, I meant to tell you guys too, join us for the Islam Q&A at around 9:30. Yes, and we have a special topic, which it goes hand in hand with what Brother Yusuf was speaking about too. So, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika.